Super. Awesome. So, yeah, thank you for joining.
All good, mate.
So, Anne, he owns a ski school in Canada called Nothinbutsnow, and currently working his way with a ski lookout. We'll kind of move on that later on. Amazing casting instructor, such a cool guy. If you ever get the chance to check out Nothinbutsnow, super cool training, but we'll kind of get into more detail in that in terms of one of the segments anyway. So, Anne, when did you kind of first start snowboarding? Is my first question.
Well, I've got to finish blushing first, mate. That's quite a flattering introduction. When did I first start snowboarding? Actually, it's a funny story. I didn't get on a snowboard till I was 25 years old. I was living in New Zealand at the time, in Wellington. I spent most of my 20s travelling the world, and I was living in New Zealand, and the guys that I was surfing and skateboarding with and stuff in Welly, as winter come out, they were like, and the mountain opens this weekend. Like, we're going to go snowboarding. You want to come? I was like, yeah, why not? That sounds cool. I've never done that before. So we trudged up there, and I hired a board, and we went up a chairlift, and I strapped this thing on my feet, and they were like, yeah, just point down the hill, you'll be all right. Anyway, I pointed it down the hill, and fell over all day, but it was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. And I was like, why has no one ever shown me this before? It's incredible. It's like, when you do manage to stay up, it was the same feeling as like surfing, but you didn't have to paddle out the back. You got a chairlift up there, and it was just like riding the face of a wave, but for a lot longer. So on that day itself, I was like, right, this is the greatest buzz ever. I've got to get good at this. And I made my mind up. I was like, right, I'm going to come up here every weekend through this season. I'm going to save up through the summer next year, and then I'm going to move to the South Island and snowboard every day next season. Yeah. And that's what happened. And it was funny because the following season, I started to get better as the season went on. I never had a lesson. I still just self-taught. I had some pretty bad habits, actually, but I didn't know that until a lot later on. And anyway, and I bought this Mitsubishi Delica van. It was a four-wheel drive thing. I thought, because I was just a scumbag in those days, not backpacker, basically. You're travelling around the world. I had dreadlocks, all sorts. And I've got this van. I thought, I can live in the van on the mountain. It'll save me loads of money on accommodation. And I welded these hooks into the corners of the van so I could hang a hammock up inside it and have my wet gear underneath on the floor. I thought, it's a genius idea. Why is no one else doing this? Yeah, after 2 weeks of living in that van, freezing my nuts off, I realised why no one else was doing it. Probably moved into a hostel. But so that was how I started. And it just sort of escalated from there, really. Just a yearly holidays after that for quite some time, for a few years anyway, with the boys. Lads' trips, ski holidays was absolutely bonkers.
Where did you guys go?
Mostly France, Italy once. We... yeah, it was crazy. We used to call it the Shots of Wine tour because you used to be able to do I don't know if they still do it. I haven't been to France for a long time on a chalet holiday, but you get this half board basis thing, and it includes unlimited free wine over dinner. Right, and the dinner period is about 2 hours. So we were like, right, we get about 2 hours, and there'd be 12, 14 of us lads. And basically, when dinner time came, we'd sit down, and everybody always had to have a full glass of wine. And then if someone started drinking their wine, they had to down it, and everybody at the table had to down their wine. And we basically sit there for 2 hours downing glasses of wine, shots of wine. Everyone would start chanting, shots of wine, like as someone started drinking. I remember the first night on, I think the second Shots of Wine tour, this girl, the chalet host, she says, guys, you've drunken your week's quota of wine in the first hour and a half. And we were like, no, we haven't. It said unlimited. You better get back in that cellar. Like, I was a bit more raucous in those days. But yeah, some funny times. And then sort of after about 5 or 6 years of doing that, I ended up going to Canada to do Nothing But Snow, but I guess we'll cover that story in a minute, shall we?
I want to go back a bit, actually.
Yeah, sorry, I do go on tangents.
I kind of want to go back and just talk about surfing and skateboarding. How long did you do that before you did snowboarding?
Basically, the skate park in Brighton's called The Level, and I grew up at The Level, really, from about the age of 13 until well, until I went off travelling in my early 20s, I was every day down there. I was more of a BMXer, to be fair. I was really into my BMX, but I skated as well. And we had a crew down there, if you like, a Level Army. They're still going strong now, just new generations of it. Still, some of the boys are still involved quite heavily in the scene, like Simon, he owns Level Skateboards now. It was really cool. It was just such a great life, the camaraderie, everyone just hanging out at night. The sessions were just brilliant, and you do a lot of firsts at the skate park. You know what I mean? It's not just it's a brotherhood, isn't it? So it was wicked, great times. So and when we used to go down every summer, we'd go down to Newquay like that. I never did like the holidays over to Spain, Magaluf and all that stuff. Didn't really appeal to me. It was always about, extreme sports, really.
Yeah.
So we go down to Newquay, stay on the campsite and surf and get drunk for, and there were some good skate parks down there. Mount Hawk in particular, we used to go and ride there as well, and which is now incredible, by the way. They got a lottery grant a few years back, and it's all indoor now. It's pucker. It's really good.
Nice.
Yeah, anyone down in the West Country, go and check that out.
So a lot of campfires, a lot of booze, and a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of raucousness. Yeah, for sure. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Nice. So kind of going from that then. You did just amazing trips in Europe, and then what made you? How did you stumble upon Nothing But Snow when you first started that off? And
right, well, the Nothing But Snow story. It's quite interesting. So personally, how I got into it. I was 31 or 32, maybe 32 actually. Yeah, and basically I'd been in a 10-year relationship. With a girl from New Zealand, hence I was living in New Zealand. And I'd been in this relationship anyway. We split up, and I'd always wanted to go to Canada. I hadn't been, and I wanted to go there for snowboarding and just to see it. So I wanted to go for a season, a ski season, so a snowboard season, whatever. Anyway, and I wanted to go over there, and I started looking around basically for an improver course, because I didn't want to go and stay in a hostel and be like an old ski bum. Do you know what I mean? I know 32. Well, it's not old, but the age of people in the hostel. I was just, I don't want to be this creepy old guy like in there. And I wanted to have a little bit of structure and a bit of focus. I wanted to get better at snowboarding. So I started looking for improver courses. Anyway, I couldn't find any that were like season long. There was lots of week or 2 week ones. And then I stumbled across instructor training courses and started looking into that. And I thought, you know what, to learn how to be an instructor, they're going to have to teach you how to get better at riding. And I said, and I'll get a qualification and this looks like a good idea. And I looked at the prices, I was like, oh yeah, it's a bit. But then when I thought about how much a week in France or something was, I was like, well, I'll get 12 weeks here. And lots was included. So I was just like, sod it, I'm going to do this. So I signed up and did Nothing But Snow with no intention of becoming an instructor. Just wanted to do it just to get better.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I was expecting, but I didn't think it was going to change my life as dramatically as it has done, for sure. And it's been amazing ever since. So do you want the Nothing But Snow story and what happened after that?
Let's go for it.
Mainly for me because I don't know.
You don't know the story. Okay, cool. Yeah. So during my season of Nothing But Snow, we formed a group, a group within the group. I think there was about 26 people on it the year I did it, and I think it was its third year of operating. And whilst we were there, a little group of us, we formed a little crew called Team Cana, because we were partying hard. As you do on a season, we were partying really hard, and Team Cana would just become this little inseparable group, and we still are. It's amazing. And part of Team Cana was Joey, who came into my life, with similar interest. And, when I went out there as well, I should say, as I'd come out of this other relationship, I had no intention of trying to find a girlfriend or anything like that. I was like, I'm just going to be free and easy. But anyway, I think when you're not looking for something, that's when it comes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it was just brilliant. It just happened naturally. It happened beautifully. And we just became a couple, and it was gorgeous. And anyway, we come back, and she didn't live too far away. And as the summer went on, we were hanging out like loads and blah, 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 blah. And then as it come up to next winter, we were like, we want to go back to Big White and spend the season there. We knew we couldn't get jobs because we were over 30s. You can't get a visa. So we contacted Lee and Sam, who were the owners of MBS, and they said, guys, we want to go back out for the season. Is there any chance you can help us with some accommodation? And anyway, so they said, we'll see what we can do. And anyway, a week later, Lee phoned us back. He says, look, guys, I've got really good ideas. Like, you two are really sociable, rah. You've got a passion for this. You can party and get up in the mornings and go ride. Why don't you come and work for us as reps? And we were like, hang about, let me think about this for a nanosecond. Yes. Yeah. So we went and worked as reps for them. It was great for us. Being a little bit older and we had jobs, we could afford to go away because you don't get paid for doing that sort of stuff. You do it because you love it, don't you? It's pretty much what snowboarding is. We did that for 3-4 years or something, 3 years. And then Lee and Sam one year said to us, look, we've got new things to go on to. You two love Nothing But Snow. We'll sell it to you, or we're going to shut it because we don't want anyone else to take it over because, between us all, we'd build it up to be what it is now. And we just jumped to the chance, so we took it over, and here we are now, sort of 9 years into it, and still going stronger than ever, and the reputation, is cut above everybody else. We're the only ones with 5-star reviews all the way through. Blah blah blah. Like I shouldn't say blah blah blah. No, sorry, we're bloody proud of it. Yeah. We work really hard. We go that extra mile, which I think is what separates us from the rest. Which leads me, just backtracking quickly, Nothing But Snow started. So I did it in its 3rd year or so. It started because the old owners, Lee and Sam, they actually did one of the competitors' courses. So they went on, I'm not going to mention the name of it, I'm not a bitch. And they did one of the competitors' courses, and they came, they got towards the end of it and they were like, do you know what? They'd had a good time because they'd met nice people, but they were like, we paid a shitload of money for this. And the moment we were dropped in the resort, they kicked us out of the UK. That was it. We were just left to do, to our own devices. The accommodation wasn't good. A lot of stuff they'd been promised didn't materialise, the moment the money was gone and they were out of the way. And they were like, they had that classic pub conversation. We're like, we could do a better job than this. Do you know what I mean? We've all been there, haven't we? We've been like, I could do it better than that, And they actually had the balls to do it. And they did, and they set it up, and then between us all, we built it up to what it is, and fair play, and nothing but respect for that. And thanks, guys. To be fair, because otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here doing this. You know what I mean? So that's quite a mad story, isn't it?
How are they now? What are they up to? Do you keep in touch?
Yeah, man. Yeah, really good. We went to Lee's wedding last year in Canada. He stayed living there for a while. But he's back here in the UK now. He's got a big project on the go with his brother, and they're doing really, really well. They had a baby as well last year. Nice. Little Penny, and so that's Finn's little girlfriend to be.
I love how you've already planned it out.
Yeah, weddings, bells, everything.
Mate, you know that. So that's how MBS has got to where it is. Really, it's been amazing. Like, we love it. As I was saying a minute ago, it's not about money. What we love about it is delivering. It's changing lives. I think that's what I love about it. I love people coming on with us. Maybe some of the not so confident people are confident in themselves, because a lot of the kids, when they turn up, because you remember, most of our age group is between 18 and 30, maybe, and a lot for a lot of them as well. It's their first long stint away from home, and when they all get to Gatwick and to fly out, and it's 40 little lost sheep. There's a few confident ones in there, but little lost sheep. Everyone's looking a bit nervous and some of the kids by the end of it, and a lot of them, to be fair, the characters have just developed so much, and like not just in the it's not just about the skiing and snowboarding. You know, the essence of Nothing But Snow is it's a life experience, not just a ski and snowboard experience. You know, and we really go the extra mile to make that happen.
Yeah.
And you know, when some of them who have never had to do anything for themselves before suddenly have to start, you know, cleaning up after themselves, washing their clothes or cooking, or, you know, and just being able to live normally. Yeah, some of them, like, it's really good to see that happen. I'll tell you, I've got some amazing stories over the years of kids, but there's one guy who sticks out in my head so much, and we changed his life, and, you know, obviously he has to do it himself, but, you know, we were part of it. And so in his first 3 days, him and his housemates, he'd eaten nothing but cereal for 3 days. And he says to his housemates, he's like, guys, I really fancy some toast. And they were like, right, toast is over here. He's like, how'd you do it? Straight up. And and they were like, well, you get bread, right, and pop it in the toaster, push this button down, you come back in a bit, and the toast is done. Okay, all right. So he puts it in there, and he toddles back off. Apparently he's sitting there, he was playing something, doing something on his computer anyway. Apparently 5 minutes later, he was sprinting across the room over into the kitchen, and he was like, running over going, oh, it's burnt. And then anyway, he got to the toaster, and the toaster's popped up and it's cooked, and he's looking around and he's gone, guys, it ejected itself. Like his mind was blown that the toaster popped up when the toaster was ready. And like, you know, this and obviously just never, he'd been in a posh boarding school, he'd never had to do anything like for himself. It was just brilliant. But he was like, by the end of the season, he was a hero. Like, everybody loved him, and he had so many firsts on that trip, and he can I say he busted his first nut? Okay. Yeah. He busted his first nut, and honestly, the next morning when he walked up, because we all meet up in the morning, right? And he walked in, you know, like McLovin out of Superbad, you know, just proper strut on, giving it all that. It was like the Fonz, mate. It was brilliant.
It was full on Fonzie.
Full on, just giving it all that. Yeah, it was wicked. But you know, he loved it. He had an amazing experience. He went back the season after and taught in Sun Peaks, and just really developed. And at the end of his first season as well, his mum wrote us an email, and she said, guys, like, I don't know what on earth you've done out there in the last 3 months, but bless him, like, he left here a boy and he's come back a man. Like, we can't thank you enough. And like, for me, that's what it's all about as well. Do you know what I mean? Not only did we turn him into a pro skier, we've helped him, you know, develop as a person, and that's brilliant. You know, it's so rewarding. So yeah, love it. Yeah, super proud. You know, and you know, the skiing and snowboarding is so rewarding in itself, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, as I was saying earlier, like, I've partied a lot. Like, I won't beat around the bush, and but what I have learned is adrenaline is the best drug in the world, right? And it's free. Like, and so, you know, like, you get on that chairlift in the morning and you go up to the top and it's a clear day, right? And you sit there and you look around, right? And you're looking about, and you're on top of the world, and you are buzzing, and you are absolutely buzzing. And like, you've got your mates with you, maybe you're on your own. Like, I love a solo ride, get the tunes on, and anyway, you're sitting there and you're buzzing already, and then you strap a plank of wood to your feet and slide down a mountain. Like, it sounds absurd, doesn't it? At Mach chicken speed, dodging trees and launching off cliffs and stuff, and you're just like, this is insane, but it's just brilliant. And like, you're buzzing, like, that fear and adrenaline buzz that you get from it, it's just, oh, it's incredible, you know. And that's why we do this.
It's always super fun riding with you. Like, we would go off, wouldn't we? Like, you and me, the reps and all that. And just like, oh yeah, shall we go down that way? Shall we go across there? And you were always like super buzzing, super fun. And I was just like, this is amazing. Like, it's just, it always adds that extra.
Your stoke level, man. It's just like, it makes it amazing. You know, when like you say, when we're riding, and there's, you know, 4 or 5 of us, and we're sort of all chasing each other through, dodging around trees, and everyone's just screaming, just like, whoa, this is sick! Like, yeah, that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what we live for. That's the buzz, man. Like, yeah, for sure. It's incredible.
I kind of want to move on to
yeah, sorry. Go on.
The idea of like Canada itself. You know, since like when you did your first trip in Canada, like, how was it different? What did you enjoy about it? Like, what was what was like your first expectations when you first went to a Canadian resort to like a European resort?
I don't know what I expected and what I got. Like, obviously, it's the POW, isn't it? That's British Columbia. Yeah. That's what it's known for. It's the powder, and it didn't disappoint. The mountain was incredible. How is it different? It's not as commercialised as Europe, and I love that. I love the sort of. What's the sort of downscale, just much more chilled out vibe.
I get what you mean.
Like the people were just super chilled. There's none of that pretentiousness and like arrogance and money that you get in like the French resorts and stuff. Not all of them, of course, but like you know what I'm talking about, right? There's none of that, and I really love the community spirit of Big White as well, because it's one of the few ski in, ski out mountains in BC. And it's quite small in terms of, you know, as villages go, you know, it's that everybody knows everybody. Every bar you walk into, you know everybody in there, and I really love that. And that happened really quickly. Within, you know, a couple of weeks of being there, even on your first time, you get to know everybody. And even, you know, when you start working with the instructors there, they're all really sound. Like, as I say, I think it was just that vibe. The atmosphere was just brilliant. And the people were just lovely. And I'll tell you what as well, it's not busy. We never queue for lifts.
Yeah, Big White's really quite good for that.
It's bizarre, you know. Even if you've got a weekend and it's dumped the night before, which is quite often, the longest your queue will be 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's not long.
Do you know what I mean? And like in Europe, you just don't get that. And like in the week, it feels like it's our own mountain. Do you know what I mean? And you know, and we do get a lot of snow there, shitloads, and you can put down fresh tracks all day. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that's just incredible, isn't it? You know, where'd you get that? I've never seen that anywhere else.
That just reminds me of Avansel. It's like it's just a little resort in Andorra.
Yeah.
Went there for the season, and it's exactly as you said. You feel like your own little mountain.
Bob the dog's come to say hello.
Hello.
Bashing into the mic here. Hello, bud. You all right?
Yeah, it's sort of the same jazz where the max you have to wait for a queue line is like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And compared to like where you go and say Vale Resorts or go up in Teen, it is very. It's very, very like big on the queues and that jazz. Was it last season where that Instagram video that flew wild, where you saw one of the Vale Resorts was just packed full of like. It's like 3 hours wait or something.
3 hours wait, yeah. Well, I think they get that. Yeah, it was Vale, wasn't it? That was that, I think. And but I think you know, Whistler, you've seen the ones there as well, and they get a power day, and you get people. They get 2 runs all day. Like, how do you can't get your buzz during that? Even if by the time you've spent 3 hours getting to the top, you know, you're not warmed up. You're going to be grumpy and that, because you've been just, you know, sandwiched in with people. So, yeah, that's what I love about a Big White, and the varied terrain as well, which is the biggest reason I think why we train there is the terrain is just so good. We've got steep stuff, we've got bumps, we've got trees, gullies, glades, like there's everything so you can hone your skills in every environment and just become a master of the mountain anywhere. And the park's sick as well, even though I'm not throwing down in my 40s, mate, not anymore. But, you know, still hold our ground. But the backcountry stuff, you know, we'll launch off stuff in the back, and you know, and you stack in that in half a metre or a metre of powder, it's just like landing in the clouds. You just lie there just going, that was amazing, let's do it again.
Did you ever think of moving NBS anywhere else in Canada, or was it just always Big White that you always down to?
I think the relationship with Big White is solid, that we don't need to. I've looked at other resorts. We had ideas of, we still have, of doing a course sort of split over a couple of resorts. So you can do 6 weeks at one, 6 weeks at the other sort of thing. But at the moment, we've got it honed so well, what we do now at Big White, that I don't think, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, we've looked at what we were really good at delivering, because we used to run an internship as well, and we phased that out, because what we found was happening is when people were doing an internship, they'd come and they do their level 1 and then start teaching. but the thing is, as a level 1, you're teaching generally on the beginner slope, you know, and it's kids, and so you're basically a sort of glorified nanny, if you like, babysitter. And the other guys are out doing their training towards their level 2. They're shredding the mountain, you know, and getting amazing at riding, whilst the other ones are down in happy, like down on the bunny slope, standing in 30 centimetres of powder but not riding it. And and they were like, well, we want to do that course, so I want to go on that. So we're just like, let's get rid of that then. We don't need to do it. Let's just focus on doing what we do well, and let's do the 12-week 1 and 2 instructor course. And the other thing that's like really sort of made us stand out, I think, is the what we do on the side. It's not just that skiing and snowboarding. We have 2 live-in reps. No other companies do that, and the reps are there 24/7, living with the guys, like, and making sure they've got everything they need. But we also arrange loads of stuff for them to do in the evenings and the weekends, you know. And so they take them down to town. They go on brewery tours. They go bowling. They've got they've got a sick trampoline park, like, for the freestyle kids. There's climbing. They can go to the shops. They could do whatever they like, really. But we've always organising extra stuff. And we've got that affiliation now, like with a partnership with Ride Out West. Jared and Paula, who are just wicked. They're like us. They're like in their 40s, just love the snow life. We're like, right, what can we do to still be involved in this and try and make a little bit of money? And so they've run this little minibus service, and we go on road trips to other mountains and stuff. Like on the weekend, we do a thing of Nothing But Sundays, and on Sunday we go visit one of the local mountains. Because another beauty of British Columbia, it's like there's little tiny hills scattered about,
they're
like
quite close together,
and they're all quite close.
Silver Star,
Baldy and Apex, and they're all within a couple of hours. So, you know, we can do it in a day trip, which is wicked, you know, and you get to experience a bit more of Canada. And you've got Jared driving, you've got the tunes cranking on, he's telling stories all the way because he's lived there all his life, you know, and so he's telling stories, and so you get this really good insight into the local areas and stuff, and that's really cool. You know, you've travelled halfway around the world, you might as well have a bit of an explore rather than just the one mountain, isn't it? Yeah, in it. I'm in my 40s.
Sorry, I'm munching on an amazing sandwich that Joe made. Super nice.
Bless her.
Doesn't it?
We'll keep her.
Pickle. Pickle in it?
Pickle.
Yeah.
For some reason, if you like, our dad's like really gotten into like just Branston pickle at the moment.
Has it?
Yeah, he's just had it on everything.
I don't even know.
So I'm going off on a tangent as well again. Never really do this, but yeah. Let's just move on to quickly onto certifications. So,
certifications, yes.
Yeah. So you're CASI level 3, right?
I'm level 3, yes.
Can you explain just to like the people who don't know, really, the Canadian, like the Canadian kind of system? How does it work? What's the difference between 1, 2, and 3? And where can you go on in the future? And just if you know anything around that kind of stuff.
I know. I know a bit, but I think.
Still working your way.
Still working away with it. But so basically, as I sort of said a minute ago, your level 1 certification is basically how to teach a beginner. It's to get someone who's never done it before to be able to link a turn and stop safely, basically. Get them ready to go on a green run, or get them to get down a green run. What's the equivalent in Europe? I don't know.
It's green, same thing, man.
It's the start. Yeah, so it's the
green, blue, red, black.
Yeah, so a nice chilled run is to get them moving down that. So it's fairly obtainable for anybody who's had a bit of a go at riding. Whereas your level 2, like we like to think as each level is like so level nothing to level 1 is like 1 hop, and then level 1 to level 2 would be like 2 hops, and then level 2 to level 3 is like a treble hop, so like it really doubles, it gets harder and harder. But at level 2 standard, you're basically learning how to master the mountain. So you're going to learn how to ride moguls properly, because snowboarders generally don't like moguls. Whenever I get someone new, everybody who comes on the course every year is like, oh yeah, I can do this tonight, but I hate moguls. Everyone always says, I hate moguls. I'm like, that will change, I promise you. Because when you learn how to ride them properly, they're the most fun. I absolutely love riding moguls. They're brilliant.
For sure.
And when you get that flow going through them and you're just bouncing through them and gapping them, and like it's just amazing, that feeling. And that's when you've become from a snowboarder to like a professional, I guess.
Yeah.
Not, you know.
As every snowboarder says, it's not you become an actual snowboarder and then someone who snowboards.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of the words I was looking for.
Yeah.
But so you learn how to do that, how to do your steeps, and then your carving and short radial turn. Basically, how to be fluid and in control on every aspect of the mountain, rather than hanging on for dear life, you know, and letting the snowboard take you. You tell that snowboard where you want it to go, and that's I'd say the level 2. So what it basically means is, as a level 2, you can take people who can already ride and improve them in an area where they want to improve, e.g. moguls, or riding through the trees, because the tree runs in Big White are just amazing, aren't they? It's so good. So you can help them get better through that, and having that level 2 means you're not riding on the bunny slope every day. When you do come to start teaching lessons, you can start taking people all over the mountain, and it becomes not so much, I think, from what I can gather, it's not so much about training people so much, but having fun with people. And I always say this to people as well, you've got to remember, when you're becoming an instructor, it doesn't have to be like you're reading out of a textbook. Like, when you're going to teach somebody, generally that person is going to be on holiday. They're only there for a week or two. They don't want to be told their shit. They want to have bloody good fun and get better at riding. And so you need to teach them in a way where it's fun. And like the people who excel the best are the people who've got best, like, big character or confidence, and you throw yourself into it. As long as you get the content of what you want to, what they need to know, the technical bit into there, you know, you can pad it up with all sorts of other stuff, and let's make it super fun. And when someone gets to the bottom of the mountain and they've got what you're telling them, and they're beaming face, and they come down and your high fives at the bottom, like, that was sick, shit, yeah, look, I'll do it again, get back on the lift, like, and they get it, like, that feeling is unbelievable, like, incredible. Back to that adrenaline thing that I was talking about, like, I'm buzzing about it now, like, but it's amazing, you know, and the whole power and the magic of teaching was something that, as I said earlier, like, I had no intention, that I didn't think it would be something that I'd enjoy as much as I do, even though, you know, I don't instruct particularly, you know, pull the strings behind the scenes. I still take people out, and I still enjoy teaching people, like, as and when I get to do it. So yeah, it's brilliant.
Go from because you did, I'm guessing, with NBS, the level 1 and 2 as like a package, and then did you do your level 3? When did you do your level 3? What was that?
I did my level 3, when did I do that? It was 2 years after my level 2. I did the NBS course and then went back to repping, and I think it was my second or third year of repping, I can't remember.
Did you do that through NBS?
Yeah, so basically, like, Nothinbutsnow we started running level 3 training courses then for the season. And they were running one, there was a space left over, and I was like, well, I'll have it. Like, why not? I can train, because during the day all the students are in there in the lessons. I wasn't necessarily needed to be doing stuff behind the scenes, so I was like, I can train with them and work towards it, and that's what I did. And it was brilliant. I just got super focused, really pushed hard, and the guys training us, Melon and Jamie and Dom, some legends in the game, and I think you've got plans to speak to them over the as this goes on. Were just amazing and just really helped push us to where we needed to get to. And as I say, I focused and managed to get there. So, what
was the criteria in terms of that level 3 then?
So the level 3, so that's it. Well, I've got to level 2, didn't I? And then went off on a tangent again. And then level 3. So the level 3 is it's like a triple jump. So it's taking the techniques that you've learned already, but making them even more refined. And we're talking about, you know, muscle movements that are tiny, and adjustments, and then using the snowboard so much more, you know, loading it and making that snowboard work for us, so we can be so much more responsive and efficient with our riding. Like, the beauty of anything, you know, when we watch like the Olympics or something, you know, and you watch people and you look at it and you go, blimey, that looks easy, I could do that. don't you? Like everyone does. Everyone does that. And even if you don't admit it, like you're like, it doesn't look that hard, does it? Like, and then you get to one of those like Excel jumps, and you look at it, and it's just like, oh my god. You know, and so, but the reason that it looks so easy is because they make it look effortless. You know, and that's what level 3 is. I think it's getting maximum efficiency and making it look effortless. And if you make something look effortless, you're doing it right. Do you know what I mean? And that whole thing, and the speed, holy shit, the speed like that you've got to be able to do stuff at, it's just amazing. But a lot of, you know, it's commitment. You've got to commit. You've got to lean into that hill. You've got to push it down the hill, and you know, and speed is your friend. You know, it's the same with anything. When you learn how to ride a bike, you go really gentle at first, don't you? And you wobble around everywhere. But then the moment your speed picks up, gravity straightens you up, doesn't it? Yeah. And it's the same with your snowboards. The faster you're going, the easier it is.
Yeah, the easier it's going to be.
Yeah. Maybe not for your own.
How did you find the teach criteria on that?
The teaching, again, it's so much more intense. And again, we're looking at that level, you're focusing on one piece of the body and one specific movement to try and get this feeling. A lot of it is about feelings, and like you know, which is what we want to feel, and then not only the feeling in your body, but then feeling what the snowboard does, and like the response that you get back from it, and like and why that's so good for our riding, and where it's useful, and that's where it gets quite technical. And then there's another element to the level 3 as well, which is they used to call it pedagogy, but I think it's called pedagogy, which is basically trainers training trainers. So it's instructors training instructors. So you have to explain stuff in a different way again, and it's to teach someone who's, you know, could be at your level, but you've got to make them better, and explain it in a way as to why, you know. And so generally that it's a outcome or goal focused teach, and we'll generally come up with a scenario, say like, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to do it like this. It's going to be awesome. You do it. And then and everyone else does it, and then you talk about it again after and explain why it was awesome. You know, which is very similar to a normal lesson, but it's a lot more a lot high end. So there's a lot involved in it, but obviously, you know, there's a lot of level 3s out there. It's not unobtainable, but you've got to work a lot harder. Yeah.
Did you ever think about doing your level 4 after that, or
to be honest, no, I haven't really. I've thought about doing the 4 course just to see what it's all about. You know, as I mentioned, Jamie Forbes and I are good friends nowadays, and we like riding together, and I'd like just to you know, to see where I'm at in terms of it. But the level 3 for me was just only really a goal. It was just like, I wanted to give myself a focus for the season, because in those days as well, I was still partying pretty hard, and I thought, well, if I've got to get up and train at the level I need to train at, I'll rein it in a little bit during the weeks, and I did, and it paid off. So a lot of that was just to say that I could do it really, and just to try and do it, and a little bit of, I suppose, bragging rights in it.
So, sort of with the level 3 sort of thing, only I've just learned through Max that you have sort of 2 parts to it. You have your
3.
First level 3 part, as in, like, I know you have the different sort of exams you teach in your tech. Is the same thing, or how does it work?
Just go through it?
How does it work? Because it's different to how we do in Bays.
So before you can take the level 3 exam, you have to do like a pre-course, really. So that's 3 days, I believe. That's where you ride with, you know, the level 4. So basically people who will be evaluating you, and you do. It's kind of a bit like a mock exam, if you like. And at the end of it, they assess you, and they tell you, no, this is where you're at. You'd be at standard at that, but you need to work on this if you're going to have a go at level 3. Which is really good, you know, because it lets you know where you're at, and so you don't get the disappointment of having to go at it and failing. And then when it comes to exam, it's split to 3 parts. So your ride, your teach, and then your what was pedagogy, trainers training trainers, basically. Trainers. So it's 3 sections. A lot of people, it is a process, you know, you get one part of it at a time, sort of thing. It is supposed to be it is that much higher that it is supposed to be a bit more harder to achieve.
Because you are going from point of teaching regular people on the mountain to then instructing instructors how to instruct.
Yes, yeah, and and you have to be a level 3 or above to be able to teach gap like what we do. So, it gives you a big responsibility to teach someone how to teach in the first place. It's quite a big responsibility, isn't it? And making sure you're doing it right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. What was it with the ISIA? Don't you?
That's optional with Canada. You do your level 3 and then you can apply to do your ISIA.
So you can skip your ISIA and just go on to level 4?
Yeah, essentially you can.
Okay.
Which is quite good.
That makes sense.
So, Laura Price.
P. Rizzle, yeah.
Class. Because she's doing her ISIA.
Oh, is she?
Which is quite interesting. We had a bit of a good talk about that. I'll definitely bring her on a podcast so we can talk.
Yeah, she's great value, really good, and I think she's just about got her level 4 now. I think she would have got it this year, I think, but unfortunately they didn't run the exams. No. But I think she's two parts of the through it. So
Laura, if you're listening to this, we're rooting for you.
Yeah, you got it.
I don't know who you are, but yes,
she was the one that Ash trained in Bulgaria.
I remember you saying.
It's small world, essentially.
She trained me. She helped with my 2 trains. She trained me for level 2 and level 3, actually, to be fair. She's a bit of a superhero.
Yeah.
Superhero. Yeah. Just sort of trying to figure out how it works compared to the leveling system in Basie.
Right.
I think your system's sort of seems a bit easier to like.
How dare you?
Not easier, right?
How rude. Right.
Let me finish. Easier in sort of a sense to know where you're progressing. Sort of with the level 2 and 3, they jumped massive because you don't have sort of a gap you have this massive gap going from a level 2 to level 3 because you're going straight from a level 2 to sort of level 3, and that's the last tech. So in Basie, it's sort of level 3/4. That's what it is. Whilst in Cassie, it seems a lot better of a system that you're going 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I think Basie is now adopting that idea, hopefully, and going 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So it's not that big of a jump. So the pass rate isn't going to be as low as it is, which is
the main reason why they do that is because Basie don't actually have any resorts.
Yeah.
Apart from like a couple of stuff in Scotland, but Canada's got all the resorts and they've got all the mountains of the world, whereas like they have to go over to.
It's only because of France.
Yeah. So
that
to Europe,
seems like the only reason.
Yeah, we kind of need you to help us. And
because
the
French.
It's just like but you have to be at this standard.
Yeah.
Kind of being a bit tough on the externals and the outsiders. That's what I've interpreted and what I've been told. I don't know if I'm right about that. If someone is.
I don't know. I'm just guessing at this point.
Okay, massive tangent on that. But yeah, let's kind of move back onto NBS.
Okay, gladly. I'll talk about that all day.
I want to talk about the future of NBS.
The future of NBS.
Yeah. So kind of going from, what we'll talk about NBS now, like where you kind of want that to be heading, and like if there are any more goals towards that, and then we'll definitely touch upon Ski Legat as well.
Yeah, cool. So future of NBS, I've been thinking a lot about this in the last few years, and this season was going to be our biggest yet, and I've been looking to get investment to. I want to build our biggest problem with Big White, as I said earlier, is it's quite small and accommodation is hard to get. And we're getting big numbers now signing up because we've got the reputation, in this industry of being sort of the best in Canada. And my goal is we want to be the go-to company.
It is a name that you hear a lot more in Canada. Well, I think more coming from my end, when every time I see someone going to Canada or doing their instructor course in Canada, they'll go, I'm going with, Nothinbutsnow. I've not really heard any.
We won't.
I think it's mainly because I'm with you and Emily and stuff. That's how I know.
Well, Josh Runnigan, big shout out.
Yeah, Nothinbutsnow as well.
No, he didn't do.
Oh, did he not?
No, he did another course, but it was Jay Mullen.
German as well.
We had Kelly
As well.
Yeah.
So there's loads of decent amount of people with snow. Sorry, carry on.
That's all right. It's all right. No worries. So basically, accommodation is our biggest issue. Like trying to secure accommodation. So what I really want to do is build a nothing but snow house, if you like. Yeah, man. Like it's just
a YouTube house. You've seen those YouTubers like doing those big houses with this team together.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Nah, but like because I want to offer the luxury, because that's one of the big standout points that we have as Nothing But Snow. We rent them a luxury accommodation, but trying to get enough to house 60 people is quite difficult. But if we can build our own, it just takes that stress out, and
it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, and in the long run, financially, it will make a lot of sense, because at the moment it's our biggest outlay. Anyway, so I really want to get a Nothing But Snow house built there, and then look at if we can do that. We're getting 60 people into resort each year. I think that's a manageable number. With a couple of extra reps and stuff, and then possibly looking at getting this idea of running 6 weeks at one mountain, 6 weeks at another, or definitely next year I'm going to be offering a freestyle camp during as 1 week of there. We have President's Week, which falls midway through the season, which is like a bank holiday sort of thing. Week, and so I'm thinking that week, because we don't have training for the guests that week, because all the instructors are needed for the tourists that come in that week, we can go to a different resort and do a freestyle camp, which I have set up already at some peaks, so that's going to be fun. That'll be happening. And then as you just sort of mentioned, this kind of leads on. We've also this year it's been happening for a year and a half or so. We're taking over Skeeler Gap.
So if you want to kind of talk about what is Skeeler Gap, what's that for, and
Yeah, for sure. So Skeeler Gap is the original instructor training program. Basically, it was founded in 1993 by a lady called Beryl, and it was basically aimed at gapdar kids who are coming out of university or just about to go to university. Really, it was mainly the 18, 19-year-olds who finished, boarding school, and then they have a gap year before uni. And she built that up into an empire. It was incredible. I think at its peak, they were having 150 students a year. They had their own house, and they were they still do run out of Mount Tremblant, which is Eastern Canada, Quebec, just outside Montreal. So Beryl basically fell on hard times. The brand slowly went downhill, and then we ended up getting approached to take it over, as being because the success that we were having in British Columbia in the West. They were like, do you guys want to get involved and help us, bring this back to life, sort of thing? And so that's what we've been doing, and really, really positive stuff for the future. And we are going to run a course out of next year, and I believe, as far as I'm aware, it's the first company that's doing it, where we are going to do 6 weeks in Mount Tremblant, where they're going to do their level 1 and experience a bit of the culture, because being French, it's very much got a European feel there. The resort itself, like the town, is incredible. It's absolutely amazing. They have all the proper big clubs and all that sort of stuff, and fine dining, and it's very beautiful there. And then they're 6 weeks there, level 1, and then we'll fly them out to BC, backcountry, get them in the powder, and experience the complete opposite side of Canada. It's a completely different experience. It's the wilderness. It's much more rugged, but that still has its beauty. And I think if you are on your gap year, you're not intending to be an instructor, really. What a perfect way, you get the best of both there. You get to experience both sides of Canada, still become a snow pro, and then carry on to wherever it is you go afterwards, for your year. So we're going to launch that, and as well as the normal programs that they've done, the 4-week and 10-week instructor training camps. So the future is looking good, because at the moment even though, things are bright, as I said, I don't want to bitch about money, but, we don't do this for money. We haven't done it for money. We don't, the profit margins are tiny. I run a building firm back here in Brighton. That's how I make my money throughout the year. But now we've got the family. I had a baby this year with Joey, the first MBS baby. Well, that we know of. So, now we've got the family. I want to be able to focus on the skiing and snowboarding stuff, just sort of free up my time. And I'm in my 40s, my body's can't take the building so much anymore. Take a fall in the powder, but we really want to focus on being able to run, make skiing and snowboarding a living, really, and why not? Some people out there are making a living from it, and I want to. Whilst giving, but giving something back still as well. It isn't all about dollars. It's about, as I said, I want to change lives. I want to give people the best 3 months of their lives when they come with us. And so far, I think we're doing that. But there's always room for improvement. You're never perfect, are you?
No. As what was Baden's nice little thing we said in the first episode, we're all a little bit of shit, aren't we?
Yeah. We're all a little bit of shit.
Yeah, well, I've one of the great phrases from Team Kana was, we're shit at life but great at banter. Yeah. I'll go with that.
Can we touch upon East to West or West to East? The little idea is that just mainly part of Ski the Gap, that kind of.
At the moment,
program.
We're going to launch it through Ski the Gap. Coming from the east side over to the west side. If it becomes successful, I'm definitely going to think about running it through the MBS thing. What I think will work better in British Columbia will be if we went to another resort in British Columbia, e.g. Well, I'm not sure yet, but I've been talking with lots of them about the ideas of it. Just the other thing is as well, because Big White is so magical, people don't want to leave there. No. Like you've been yourself, you've come back for 3 times now. You've been 3 times after one visit. You've been back, and a lot of our students as well, because of when you come through the Nothing But Snow program, like you become part of the mountain and you get to know all the locals. Lots of our guys, they come back the season after and teach at Big White, because it is basically a 12-week job interview. If it's what you want to get into, because you get to know. They can hand pick who they want at the end, and that's brilliant. It's great for us because we can, at the start of the season after, we can bring through all the people who've been the year before and be like, because they, as I said, they're all sitting there. We do this introduction meet and greet thing on the first morning in resort, and they're all sitting there like shell-shocked, a bit like, what the hell is going on? Have I done the right thing here? And everyone's a bit nervous, and we can bring out the people from the year before, and they go like, look, we're here in the jackets, we're instructing now. We were sat there like you, crapping ourselves, but it's just amazing. Like, get involved, be part of it, and then you can be here next year doing this, and that's wicked. I love that. I love seeing that, and again, it's that thing of giving back. They put their trust in us in the first place, and then we help them develop through the next few years, because a lot of people only teach it for a few years and then go off and get a real job. But some people do stay in the industry and they stay in it forever and really work their way up. And, as you start getting up through the levels and you're becoming a trainer, and, you can make a decent living out of it. So, it's what you want to get out of it. And some people just come because they just always wanted to do it, like I was at the start. I'd always just wanted to do it. We get, I said our average age is early 20s, mid-20s, but we had a lady this year, she was 62, and I won't mention her name because of ages, but beautiful. She was a lovely lady, and she had grandkids, and she wanted to teach them how to ski. So she came and joined the course so she could learn to be an instructor. It was amazing.
She was a lovely lady.
She was lovely, you spoke to her, and she was brilliant, and we get couples and people, in their 30s and 40s and stuff who've come out just because they wanted to do it, and they come to do it for the experience. Billy this year as well. Oh mate, brilliant, legend. He left his family at home. He'd always wanted to do it. He was in his 50s, and he was an absolute asset to the course. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and he just always wanted to do it. And he was like, said to his wife, "Look, I've got to do this, otherwise I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life." And they were like, well, fair enough. And he come out and he had the time of his life. He absolutely loved it. And yeah, that was brilliant. I love that. So it is for everyone, but it's what you want to get out of it. But, you know, we'll help you get to whatever you want out of it. We'll make sure that happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is great, you know, and it is flexible. And because we're in resort as well, you know, who else is the owners of the companies in the resort, like making sure everything's going smoothly, do you know what I mean? And the reps living in with them, you know, it's brilliant. We want the people's biggest stress every day to be what colour lens to put in, do you know what I mean? First world problems, yeah. Like, it's amazing every year how many friends people lose on Facebook. Everyone gets blocked because they're there every morning posting pictures of sunrises over snowy mountains and all that. All your mates are just like, oh, drop me out, mate. Blocked until you come home. Yeah.
Kind of going back to Big White.
Yeah.
Nice little question for you actually is
Go on.
what's your favourite run in Big White? Tell me what it is, what that run's about. And any history behind it.
Well, I've got lots of favourites, but I'll tell you what, like I've said earlier, moguls are part of my favourite thing to ride now, and I love doing Dragon's Tongue. It's a great name for starters, but the run into it is brilliant. There's lots of little things to bounce and hop off and like little gaps and stuff like that. And then the run itself is just, it's really beautiful. It's got a massive big old tree in the middle of it, which I just find really picturesque. And it's a black mogul run, you know, it's heavy duty, but I remember the first time going there when I first started the lessons, you know, when I was on the course, and it was so intimidating and scary, and, you know, you spent most of your time on your arse or twisted out of shape and throwing yourself around everywhere. And nowadays, like, I ride that and I'm just laughing and smiling the whole way and just buzzing through it. It's particularly, I like to go and ride that in the afternoons. I do these little solo rides in the afternoons, and I'll put my headphones in and I'll go off and just ride for a couple of hours just for me, and like, and just, you know, it's really therapeutic and yeah, just lovely. And yeah, that would be a run that I'll always do, particularly after lunch as well. Straight after lunch, warm you up, especially if you've had a couple of beers and you're just like, right, I'm going to smash it down here today. And so I think Dragon's Tongue is probably my favourite. There's a few other little sort of secret tree run stuff that I really like, but as a standout, I think that always delivers. And if it's, whether it be icy and it's super technically difficult, or whether it's powdery and you're just bouncing off the top of it. It's super fun.
Yeah, it's like you get there and I love doing it in the morning actually, because it's like you're the first one on it, and because of how powdery it's just so
it's
beautiful.
brilliant.
It's so super fun.
It is super fun.
Yeah. Do you know why it's called Dragon's Tongue at all, or was it?
Maybe because, I don't know, it can spit you out pretty badly,
probably,
couldn't it? I get spit out, you know.
So I don't know a couple of the names of and why they're called that. It's like Goat's Kick as well. Do you know? Actually, tell the listeners on why it's called Goat's Kick.
I have no idea.
You actually don't know?
No, educate me.
So well, this is what I've been told. But apparently, so it's basically it's a green or blue run, right? It's
Goat's Kick, black.
Black. Oh, it's black. Oh, yeah. So it's basically because there's a skier called who's nicknamed the Goat. And literally, he would just slash the side of the corner by the tree as you're going into Goat's Kick, and literally it's just called that. Such a stupid name for that.
Oh,
and, just named after something like that. It's just.
I love how a skier's called like Goat. I don't know why. That's just a cool name.
Yeah, but then
the goat.
you've got nice little secret areas like what's Narnia as well.
Yeah,
that's super cool. You go like Gem Lake Way. I need to go to Gem Lake for that.
I want to hear Narnia. What's Narnia?
It's
sort of that.
There's a few of these like they're like little secret areas that are hidden, and people have put their own little
secret
signs
slashes.
up. So you've got a little area called Narnia. It's sort of a bit gladed and it's just quite magical over in Gem there. There's another one which is quite a steep sort of tree run between linking two areas of the mountain. It's called the Rat Run, which is tight, skinny, little shooty type thing through the trees.
Lines.
Definitely gets the old heart pumping. That, and
cool.
and there's little secret huts and stuff like little shelters stashed around over the mountain, which are pretty cool. We do a really cool little thing in the first week or so with all the guests. we have our instructors on a Friday afternoon, because at the end of each week we do like a wrap-up thing, and you sort of have a little meeting with your instructor, and they give you feedback for that week, and so you've got something to think about before you go into next week, because we change instructors every week, so you get trained by. So we do this wrap-up anyway. On one of the first couple of Fridays, we'll get them all to bring the guests to one of these little huts, and we'll be there with like loads of beers and the tunes on, and we have a bit of a wrap up up in the secret spots, which is really cool. Yeah, they always like that. And if any time when they're getting free beer, they love it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What time are we on?
We've just gone over an hour.
Oh, have we?
Yeah.
Hey, great, that's perfect. So kind of moving on to the next segment, in terms of the motivation, like what was like the motivation of you making your instructors? Because technically you're making this new generation of instructors who will be teaching all across the world in these resorts. Like, what do you think about that? Like,
I've kind of already touched on that, and you've kind of hit the nail on the head in the question. Like, the motivation is for that. When we see them go on to new places, and because we often get a lot of feedback, we see their Facebook posts or Instagram posts, and having the time of their life teaching in New Zealand or Australia, because a lot of them, obviously because the seasons are different, they'll leave us and go straight to the Southern Hemisphere and get a season's teaching in before they come back to Canada or Japan or Europe or wherever it is. And watching people's journeys, especially when you've been there from the start and seen them as that little shell or beginner when they've got there, and then 2 seasons later they're going at their level 3, and they're really progressing through the industry, and just their life has changed monumentally from what it was when they first joined us. Like, that feeling's just incredible. To be part of that, do you know what I mean? Just to have helped, to have helped to be part of it is unreal. Like, it's brilliant. I love it. You feel like a proud parent in a way, and to help, just help people develop and watch them grow is just beautiful. And I think that's the motivation for me. And so with teaching as well, when they're teaching and you can see their buzz, and they get that feeling that I talked about earlier, when you've taught somebody something, and then at the end of it, then it's all high fives and big smiles. Like, when someone else gets that feeling as well, again, you're just like, yes, they get, you get it. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So, and as I say, with the industry itself, a lot of people who go into it only do it for a couple of seasons. It's a little bit of a career break, and it's a bit of it's travel and excitement, and it's something different. And for a lot of people, it isn't a long-term career. Of course, and I get that. Do you know what I mean? It's, so we always need to be bringing through new instructors to take over for the ones that are dropping out. Do you know what I mean? Particularly at that level 1 and 2. That's probably the most important instructors as well, because when you're fresh and you're just starting out into it, that's when you're most enthusiastic. I think, do you know what I mean? Like, obviously there's exceptions to that. There's a lot of people who are buzz on it all the way through, but I do see older instructors who have lost that passion and the buzz of it, and you can tell that in their lessons. When you you hear about it, particularly, because in ski resorts, as everyone knows, the gossip train is just amazing. I love all that as well. Hilarious. First thing in the morning when we all meet up, because everyone meets at 9 has a coffee and tells stories about what happened the night before. I love all that. It's cracking.
Let's wrap up.
Sorry,
Let's wrap up that NBS segment then. Let's just say like any kind of funny stories that come into mind. Trying to keep it not as PG as possible.
Not as PG as possible.
All right.
Oh my word! So many amazing and brilliant things have happened over the year. I should have had a good think about this one before I started. I'll tell you a funny story that happened actually, which is just bizarre, and it still makes me laugh. Every now and again, I tell you, we were having a house party. Now, when you go away for 3 months, right, you're limited as to what you can pack. Okay, and the girls somehow bring whole wardrobes inside their suitcases. I don't know how they do it, but anyway. we were having this house party once. We used to have this massive house in Snow Pines. We were having this house party, and everyone was dancing, having a right good crack. We had a DJ there, and anyway, out of nowhere, one of the guys on our course, he was up on a kitchen like table thing, you know, what they call worktops, and he's up there, and he's got a little pair of cut down jean shorts on, a high vis vest, and a hard hat, and he's dancing like YMCA, like really crazy dancing. And not only was it most bizarre, I was just watching him just go, "You are mental." I thought, at which point, whilst packing your bag, did you think, "I'll tell you what, I'm going to pack a hard hat and a high-vis jacket because I never know when that might come in handy"? That always made me chuckle. I was just like, that was quite a bizarre thing to pack into your bags. And definitely an image that, whether I like it or not, is stuck in my head.
Just burnt into your eyes.
Yeah,
like,
a little
entirely.
bit. But he was a fantastic character, absolutely brilliant. He was very, very mad. He's a skydiving instructor now. He's done it all. But he during those days, because when I was repping, and there was a shot list that came from Snowshoe Sands. Anyone who's been will know what Snowshoe Sands is. Anyway, there was 52 shots on this list, and I used to issue it to everybody when they arrived in resort. And the first person to complete it, to have drunk every shot, got a prize. And normally, like, I thought, oh, this was going to take a little while, it'll be a laugh. And all the bar staff knew about it, so they signed them off, so you couldn't just tick them off yourself. Anyway, he did it in 3 days. And I said, how did you know if you've done 52 shots? He was like, I'll just paste them out. He's like, I'd nip in at lunchtime, have a couple, go in after, and I just paced it out over 3 days. He's like, I really wanted to win it. And so he did it, and he won. And it was, I thought, well, it's a character to do that. But it was very entertaining guy he was. As most people are, well, actually, no, nearly everybody is. I think the beauty of the ski and snowboard industry as well is everybody's in it just seems really, really sound. We just don't get dickheads. It's brilliant. There's never any trouble. Like, everyone's just there for the same thing and just to have a brilliant time, a right laugh, and
You do get
slay the
some
power.
characters, don't you?
Yeah.
As well with that, it's like, but everyone's like mostly there just to have a good time, and I think that's what makes it. I kind of want to move on to the last question now because I'm pretty happy with how's it going. But we kind of touched upon this anyway.
Go on.
Let's go in a bit more detail. It's like, what makes a good snowboard instructor? That's a final question.
Yeah. So, what makes a good snowboard instructor? As I said earlier, enthusiasm, passion. A massive thing that we find as well with snowboarders instructing when people are starting is waffling. You waffle bullshit. There's no point in like padding stuff up. Like keep it short and sweet and simple. And as you well know, we have 3 things. It's like what, why, how. Like, what we're going to do, why are we going to do it, how are we going to do it? Those are the 3 things you need to get across, and you can do that in 3 simple sentences, isn't it? And so as long as you get that bit in and you get that in quickly, you can put a bit of fun around the outside of it or explain it in a fun way. Because as I said, the really important thing is people are on holiday. And when you're teaching them, they want to have fun and get better. They don't want to be told they're doing something wrong. Another big thing that we say is about PTT. It's positive to try. We'll never say, Max, that was shit, do it like this. We'll go, Max, I love what you did there, like as you entered into that term, but why not let's try just doing this as we go into it. So it's positive reinforcement, and I think not negging people out is really important, and be having as much or more fun than your student. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're buzzing, that's infectious. Do you know what I mean? People buzz off your buzz, like, for sure. And it is infectious. So enthusiasm, commitment, keep it sweet.
Enthusiasm,
yeah.
That's cool.
Did you? I mean, kind of moving on to those teachers. Did you actually have anyone who had some like really fun teachers in terms of their exams?
Of course, yeah, we get that all the time. Yeah, man. Like, and those are the guys who have gone really on fire. When you put your own character into it, and and that shines, and it also makes it flow so much better. If you're reading from a script, that's not interesting to listen to. You lose engagement with your audience, don't you?
Yeah.
But if you're like pumped and and you're making it stupid, like, yeah, of course, like people buzz on that, and you can do that all the way through, right from the lowest levels to the top. You know, with the kids, you make up games, but there was a game with like the kids where you're getting them just to traverse across the slopes, like so they were learning how to go on an edge, like, or lean slightly to one side, and you know, you'd be like, there's gummy bears on that side of the thing, so reach forward for the gummy bears, and you're going to get over there to the gummy bears. And you can adapt that to adults. You'd be like, there's beer on that side, you know, reach out, you're going to get yourself a beer, and then you turn around and you've got peanuts on the other side, and you can go and reach out for, you know, to complement it. And you can work that all the way up, you know, through the levels. Just make it fun and almost a bit silly. Do you know what I mean? As long as you're getting that core content of what they've got to do, why they're doing it, like how it's going to improve their snowboarding, and how they're going to, you know, if someone's trying to explain something to you and you don't quite get it, but you explain why, how it's going to make your riding better, you're going to get engagement. You're like, oh, so if I do this, I am going to be able to, you know, hit that jump, or, you know, and look super stylish and go and brag about it as well. I'm sitting in the hot tub later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Should have seen me. I sent it. I was like this high off the ground. Like, and then you watch the video and it's like credit card. Credit card, yeah.
I think explaining why is, as you said, a big crucial part about it, because, like, for sure, it's otherwise you're just going to be having customers going, oh, why am I?
Yeah, this is pointless. Why am I doing that?
Especially when it comes to like teenagers.
Yeah.
It's like that end, they'll go, oh, why am I doing this? I just want to point the board downhill and go really fast.
Yeah.
And you have to explain why.
Yeah.
Or do jumps and stuff as well, you know, like everyone wants to jump, and because, you know, that's what you see on the TV, all the cool kids are doing, and that's a huge thing we say at the start of every season. When we've got them, they're all there and they're all sitting there nervous and what have you. There's always a few that are super confident, and you know, the levels of ability at the start of the season are all over the place for sure. Like, and we've got some slower riders who are much more cautious, and then we've got some who are going Mac chicken, jumping off everything, hucking 360s. But just because they're doing that, generally they're not good riders. They've just got balls. Now, balls is really handy when you're snowboarding, but it doesn't make you technically good. It just makes you a little bit dangerous. And we find a lot of those kids are a bit dangerous, and they crash into people all the time, and they're losing the groups because they're just off doing their own thing, thinking they're a bit above it. And then what we find, like at that stage at the start there, when we've all done a bit of a group ride, I'll be like, right, guys, the ability's everywhere, but please trust me, if you listen to your instructors for the next 12 weeks, by the end of it, you are all going to be the same level. Like, and if you listen and commit and do this, you'll all be the same level. Of course, there's always one or two who are, you know, a little bit better, who've just got natural ability, but if everybody else, and what we generally find is those ones who are nervous and cautious at the start generally become the best. They're up there, and girls generally become really good, because girls haven't got the ego and testosterone that blokes have, and they'll listen and they're willing to take on board, you know, oh, you're not doing this quite right, you know, try this. You know, they'll take it on board and they'll push themselves, and and the cautious ones, because they're cautious, they take every tip, every little bit, and they focus it and they do it, and like and they'll get really, really good, like by building themselves up there. So and then sometimes we get those guys who started off at the start of the season, you know, hucking these big jumps or whatever, and you know, they won't be the best at the end, or not even close to it, because they were too, the ego got in the way. And it's not all the time, but you know, we do see that, and that's why, like, you should never be disheartened just because someone can huck a 360 or go faster than you. They're not better. They're probably not technically better than you. Emily was a brilliant example. Technically riding, she was amazing, like really quickly as well, because she listened. She was a little bit scared of going fast, but as the season went on, she got there, didn't she? And like, she smashed it. Like, did really, really well. So yeah, she was an absolute prime example of exactly what I've just explained there. That fear thing, but you know, trusting and believing in what we're teaching them, and that's great. And that was great to see. Bless her. She even says that in her testimonial, doesn't she? She was like, I was a bit scared to go down the hill, and then she did the cliff and nailed it, and was like buzzing, like, and that's it.
Oh yeah, again, it all kind of goes back to the buzzing kind of idea, doesn't it? Yeah, thanks so much for joining us, Ant. That's been super fun.
Absolute pleasure.
Where can we find you on Nothing But Snow and Ski Lagat? Do you want to kind of look yourself in?
Thanks. So obviously Instagram, you find us on there. Nothing But Snow. We've got no G in the nothing because we're like cool and down with the kids. And, so we're also on Facebook and then nothingbutSnow.com. Check us out, give us a call, any questions, we're always here to help. And if you want us to change your life, we're here. And we can do it, I promise.